It's time for the SongCast Indie Artist Insider. Hello, I'm Joe Kleon, host of Spotlight on SongCastRadio.com, and we have a very special Indie Artist Insider lined up for you. I was fortunate to sit down with my good friend and owner of Peabody's Concert Club in Cleveland, Ohio, Chris Zitterbart. If anybody knows about indie bands and what they can do to be successful, it's Chris. They get thousands of submissions every year from bands wanting to play at their club. They have shows almost every night, often with multiple bands, most of them indie artists. So Chris knows the indie scene, and we're going to sit down with him. We're going to pick his brain about what you can do, what you shouldn't do to succeed in the industry. So we tried to find a quiet place. It was Labor Day weekend when I recorded this. There was a band sound checking inside the club. There was tour buses outside the club. It was windy outside, and also, to make matters worse, military aircraft were flying everywhere because it was Labor Day and there was an air show going on just a few miles away. So we wandered around downtown for a little bit, found a quiet place, tried to shield ourselves as much as possible. However, there is some gusts of wind here and there, some military aircraft, maybe a siren or two. It's the sounds of the heart of downtown Cleveland. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of this interview. Chris really has some amazing things to say, and if you listen to this, it will definitely help you and your band. It's Chris Zitterbart, owner of Peabody's, special guest on the Indie Artist Insider. To start off the interview, Chris talks about himself, the club, his experience, the club's history, and where it's at today.
Thanks for inviting me to chat with you a little bit today. My name is Chris Zitterbart. I own Peabody's Concert Club in Cleveland, Ohio. Peabody's been part of the Cleveland music scene since the late 70s. It's been in this current location here near the campus of Cleveland State University for the past 12 years now, and I have owned it for the past 7 years. We do a lot of events here, ranging predominantly from metal to rock to hip-hop. Basically anything underground and edgy that I think fans would be excited about.
Okay, you deal with a lot of indie bands. How many submissions would you say the club gets, just as a ballpark figure, per month from bands that are looking to play at the club?
Well, we get a lot, and obviously we get emails, Facebook requests, a lot of phone calls. In a given month, it could be anywhere from 100 to 400 or 500, realistically, depending on whether it's touring season or not. For us, really, we're looking for artists that are going to bring some people out to the show. And, sometimes it gets difficult to decipher when there's so much volume. But the key is the music industry is really based upon relationships. If it's someone I've worked with in the past that I trust, that I know is going to bring in a certain amount of heads, that I'm a lot more willing to take a chance with that artist as opposed to somebody who just hits us up that we might not have any connection or history with.
We're talking with Peabody's Concert Club owner Chris Zitterbart in Cleveland, Ohio on a windy Labor Day afternoon. It is a special edition of the Indie Artist Insider. Check out Peabody's website at peabodys.com, and also, while this interview is being played, you are seeing a slideshow of photos that I've taken at various shows at Peabody's. Go to my website, joekleon.com, joekleon.com, and you can see galleries of photos from all over Cleveland, including Peabody's. In this segment, Peabody's owner Chris Zitterbart explains to bands what they should and shouldn't do when submitting materials to a club they've never played at before and have no experience with. We ask first if he prefers digital or hard copy submissions.
Definitely digital in today's day and age. I mean, we used to get a ton of hard copy press kits on a daily basis, and that's kind of become a thing of the past a little bit, which is a lot more cost effective for the bands, which is really nice. We just like seeing content online that we can take a look at, get a feel for the sound, where the artist is from, and kind of what the look and the vibe is of the band. And but a lot of the big piece of it is we're trying to see how much activity the band has, how much excitement, how much buzz there is around it. So we're looking for numbers as well, whether it's likes or friends or spins or whatever. Anything that can help quantify that, show us that the band's going to draw some heads out to the show. That's a very key component.
In this segment, I asked Chris what bands should and shouldn't submit when they're trying to get a gig at a new club.
Well, the biggest piece is kind of quickly to the point, tell us what you're about. If you send us a massive amount of content, it's difficult to get through since we have so many submissions on a regular basis. I would say predominantly give us a link to wherever you feel best represents your band, whether it be Facebook or whatever the content is that you feel best represents you. Give us that. We don't need 1,500 links. One or two is the best way to go. Something that we can quickly identify what you're about and what you bring to the table.
We are speaking with Peabody Peabody's Concert Club owner Chris Zitterbart on a special Indie Artist Insider. My name's Joe Kleon, host of Spotlight on SongCastRadio.com, and we're talking with Chris about bands that submit materials to the club to try to get gigs. What's the best things to do? What can you do? What shouldn't you do? And in this next segment, Chris talks about two identical bands. They submit pretty much the exact same materials to the club. Which one catches the club's eye and why? Chris Zitterbart, owner of Peabody's Concert Club, on this Indie Artist Insider.
The biggest pieces, I would say, I look for bands that are pro and prepared, meaning, okay, you're going to come into a market you may not have played before. I want to know that you're going to work to bring people out to the event. And there's two pieces to that. One is, what are you going to do to promote? And the second piece of it is the networking portion of it. You're a lot more likely to play Peabody's or another venue if you say, hey, I'm from this town, but I know this band that draws really well in your town, and I'd like to play with that band that draws really well. So me as a venue owner, I feel more comfortable that there's going to be heads in the room that night. So network, talk to people in the market, figure out who's a good draw, and try to come and play with that band. You'll be more successful. The show will be more successful. It's a better win for everyone.
After your package is sent to the club and you submitted your band for a show, how long should you wait to follow up? And how should you follow up?
Definitely email or Facebook, whatever that opening line of communication is. Kimber Weissert works in our booking office. She handles a majority of the Facebook communication, and then via email it could be her or myself. As far as follow-up, like a once a week kind of a thing, again, we get so many submissions. We try to get back to everybody, but it's almost impossible. The biggest thing is, if you're give us good responses, show us what you can bring to the show. That'll be the biggest thing to get our attention and hopefully get our response to you as quickly as possible.
We are speaking with Peabody's Concert Club owner Chris Zitterbart on a very special Indie Artist Insider. We're talking about tips and tricks that bands can use to get into the clubs and perform successful shows. It was a windy Labor Day afternoon. There was really no place quiet to do the interview. Bands were sound checking inside. The bus was loud outside. It was windy as hell, and there was military aircraft flying overhead for the Labor Day air show. Not to mention the sirens and the sounds of downtown Cleveland, so it is a bit noisy, but Chris does have some really great things to say. In this next segment, we talked about how bands can get into clubs and make an impression by opening up for another band, how this is a great way for bands to come in and do a show and show everybody what they're all about. It's all about networking, finding a band that you can become friends with, that you can open for, and Chris talks about this process and how it's beneficial to bands. Chris Zitterbart, owner of Peabody's, special guest on this Indie Artist Insider on SongCastRadio.com.
It's a day of air shows and fire trucks, I guess. We do a lot of events, both national touring acts and local regional artists. And the best way really to get into the venue is to come in with a strong regional act and maybe do a show trade type of a thing. If there's an artist, whether you're a rock band, metal band, whatever the genre that you would most appeal to, again, try to network, link up with that band, and then we can try to partner you, bring you in, play with them, play in front of some people, and then hopefully you can return the favor for that band and invite them to play in your town.
In this segment, I asked Chris, what does it take for new bands in this day and age to make money playing live? I know everyone wants to make money. How do bands do it when they're just starting out and just getting into the clubs?
Merch is vitally, vitally, vitally important. I can't stress that enough for multiple reasons. One is, if a fan is impressed by you, you want that fan to leave with a T-shirt, a sticker, a CD, whatever represents you. The T-shirts are the best because you're making a little bit of money, and those people are going to promote and advertise you. I mean, you have walking billboards, so that's a wonderful thing. As far as making money at events, there's a couple different ways. I mean, we do what we call free ticket giveaway shows, where we actually allow the bands to pass out free tickets, which is a great way to get people in the venue. Obviously, on a free giveaway show, there's not a lot of money to be paid out, but again, if you're really set up and have some good merch, you'll make the money on the merch if people are impressed with you. Once you go to that point where you're headlining at Peabody's, there's just a myriad of different ways that we set up events. Anything, again, from a giveaway show to a door split to, if I feel very comfortable, you're going to draw several hundred people. That's when you get into the guaranteed money type of a thing. But every situation is a little bit different. But at the end of the day, we're looking for people that that we like to work with, that we like seeing in the venue, and that are going to work to make themselves successful and the show successful.
You are listening to a special edition of the Indie Artist Insider. We're picking the brain of Peabody's Concert Club owner Chris Zitterbart. Peabody's has been a mainstay in Cleveland, Ohio since the 70s. Multiple independent bands play just about every night. Hundreds and thousands of bands playing Peabody's each and every year. In this next segment, I asked Chris to give me a yin and a yang. What is the best experience he's ever had working with the band, and what's the worst experience he's ever had working with the band? Kind of give you an idea what you should and shouldn't do when you're going into a club as an indie artist. It's Chris Zitterbart, owner of Peabody's, special guest on the Indie Artist Insider.
Wow, I guess really this kind of happened the exact same night. I had two different shows going on, and this would have been probably 2006. Maybe 2007.
You don't have to name names if you don't want to.
I won't name any names, but it was a situation where both artists, I was fairly new to this at the time, there were two artists coming in, headlining national touring artists. One played our small room, ended up being really nice guys that I've invited back over and over and over again. And then in Peabody's, we had an act that was just a royal pain to work with. Just came in, whole rock star attitude, and they, the attendance was light. It was definitely, we lost a lot of money in the show, and this artist demanded to get paid before going on stage. And we could simply ask for a little bit of flexibility, get some more heads in the door, hopefully sell some drinks, make the cash flow a little bit easier for the night. Long story short, they made life very difficult. The other band who came in and played that night in the smaller room heard about my situation, and we gave them, drink tickets to drink for free. They basically threw the drink tickets in the garbage can and started spending money at the bar so that we would have more cash on hand to pay not even their band, a different show. And, it was a really nice gesture. I mean, at the end of the day, that band who spent an extra $20 at the bar, we've taken care of them 1,000-fold over the years, and they've become very good friends of ours. The other artist, who is just a terrible pain to work with, I really don't work with anymore. So it just, I guess at the end of the day, it comes down to if you're cool to people in the music business, you're going to have a lot more chance to come back and play again.
In this segment, Chris Zitterbart, owner of Peabody's Concert Club in Cleveland, talks about bands having an agent or doing shows on their own. Which is more beneficial and why?
The one nice thing about having an agent is you have that level of expectation, and you already have a connection in place. So, for example, if you're a new band, but an agent that I know contacts me, you do have a better chance of coming in and playing the venue, simply because with that agent, I kind of know what to expect. As far as an independent artist going out there and directly doing it on your own, I see some bands to be very, very successful with that. A couple bands that come to mind right off the top, right away are Salt the Wounds, put together great U.S. tours by themselves. Heads Held High and currently Harvey P. Carr, I know they get out there and do some great national tours, and it's possible to go out there and do that on your own. It takes a lot of work, and the nice thing about it is you get to meet those people, and you're booking the shows, and the venue owners and promoters in each town, and there's a lot of value to that. It is harder to get into the door at the bigger clubs going that route, but there's a lot of value to get out there, doing it yourself, have that experience.
Now, when you're talking about these agents and labels that will book shows for bands and set up tours, how does a band go in search of such a label or such an agent and really know that they're going to do anything for the band? I mean, I know that a lot of these smaller indie labels, there's a lot of fly-by-night ones, and there's a lot of them that really just don't live up to the expectations of a lot of these bands. What can bands look for when they're searching for someone to represent them and to get them gigs and to actually take them to the next level?
Well, there's a couple things. First of all, the agent or label or manager wants to know that you, the band, are going to put in the work, and they want to know that you, the band, you have good songs, you have a good product that people want. So I always encourage artists to keep track. How many shows have you played? How many people do you draw? How many albums have you sold? How many downloads have you sold? How many t-shirts have you sold? This is all quantifiable information, because at the end of the day, that agent or that label is in the music business. They are trying to, support you, but make money while they're at it. And that's kind of, the business part of the music business. So I do encourage bands to, keep track of their history and what they bring to the table. So that's what an agent or a manager is going to be looking for. As far as you, the artist, how do you know what is the best fit for you? There's a couple ways. One is, what bands do you like? What bands do you respect? Go out and see who they work with. And if you have a chance to work with similar agents or managers who've made those acts successful, then that's a good way to go. If you are a death metal band, you don't want a hip-hop promoter. It doesn't make sense. So look for artists that you might look up to or enjoy what they do and talk to some of those people. The other big part of it is, the music business is a lot about networking. Talk to people you know and you trust and get their opinion. Say, hey, what do you know about this agent, this label? There's a lot of us in the business who've been doing this for a while, and we want you to be successful. We want you to draw a lot of people out to shows. It's better for you, it's better for us, it's better for everybody. So we'll be quick to help you if we know that you're serious and have a good product.
Okay, and one final question, and it goes to with what you were just saying. When you want bands to draw and you want bands to have a full house, why don't you give bands an idea? What's the best way? Let's say they get into your club, whether it be as an opening band or as a headliner for the first time. What's the best way to promote these shows and things that they should and shouldn't do, and how far in advance should they start promoting? Just basically the whole idea of what a band should do to promote a show once they get something booked at a place like Peabody's.
Typically, when I book an event, I want to be booked 6 to 8 weeks in advance to really give myself a good chance to promote the event correctly. As far as an artist jumping on a show, I would recommend 4 weeks out or more. With 4 to 6 weeks, you can do a good job of promoting. Simply putting the event on your Facebook page is not enough. It's just not. You need to get out and network with people. You need to build a connection and a relationship. As an out-of-town band, that can be tough. My advice is get in town early. Find out cool places to go. Go talk to people. Pass out CD demos. Pass out just business cards with a link to wherever your content is. Go make friends and be cool to people and invite them to come out to your show. There's a lot of creative ways to get the word out there. One guy that I like is Martin Atkins, and he's put out a pretty cool book a few years back, which has a lot of good promo ideas in it, called Tour Smart. And I'm not trying to give plugs right now, but it's a good book that I really enjoy, and it's funny, and there's a lot of ideas in there. But the biggest piece is you got to be in front of people. It's really tough to go into a new market, just get up and play and expect people to show up. In a town like Cleveland, there's so many bands playing, there's so many venues, and you want to stand out. And Insane Clown Posse is an artist who used to do just that. They used to get into town early, pass out flyers, talk to people. Obviously, that act is huge right now. It's putting in the work. It's getting in front of people. It's putting a face to a name. It's making the fans care and want to be there.
We just heard from Peabody's Concert Club owner, Chris Zitterbart. Peabody's a concert club in Cleveland, Ohio since the 70s. Chris has owned the club for many years and has a wealth of knowledge about independent bands. Be sure to check him out online at peabodys.com. Thanks so much, Chris, for your time, and thank you for listening to the special Indie Artist Insider. We have more interviews, more special programs in the future, and more tips and tricks on how you can succeed in the music business. My name's Joe Kleon, host of Spotlight on SongCastRadio.com. Be sure to check it out with new shows Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday with all types of music, and they're all independent artists from the SongCast Network. Once again, thanks for listening to the Indie Artist Insider, providing tips, tricks, and sound advice on how you can succeed in the music business.